Hello, welcome to today's video, which is on the topic of hyperinvesting. So what does that mean? Is it good? Is it bad? Should you do it? Should you not? We're going to talk about all of that today. Basically, this idea came to me when one of my mods on my channel, edrag88 on Twitch, if you want to check him out as well, redeemed my Abyss redeem, which is where you can choose my Abyss team to make me suffer. And the thing about Abyss for me is at this point with my characters, spoiler alert, being hyperinvested, Abyss is kind of a breeze with certain teams. Like I never struggle. I don't really have to restart anymore. It's not that hard anymore, to be honest. But edrag decided to take away my entire Ito team. You can't use the Ito team. And everything, it just fell apart. And that's when I realized I may have strong Abyss teams, 2 strong Abyss teams to be exact, but all my other characters kind of fall short in Abyss because I am a hyper-investor. I hyper-invest in a few characters. I did a whole video about how I have a triple crowning addiction. You can check that out floating somewhere around here. But basically, yeah, I have a few very invested characters and it has made Abyss and endgame content easy for me. But if you take those characters away, I have nothing. I am poor, I am on the streets begging for something. Anything. So that kind of prompted this idea of hyper investing because I think there are people in my camp like me who tend to invest heavily in a few select characters, and then there are people who spread their resources amongst more characters. We're just going to talk about why you might do one or the other. You probably already do one or the other just based on the kind of person you are. So I don't know, why do this video? Why do anything? Life is meaningless and pointless. Positive vibes with me. Oh, Marbles, you want out? What was I talking about? Before we get into it, don't forget to join me on twitch.tv/Meijin, MEEJIIN. You can hang out with us live on stream. You can make me suffer if you get enough channel points with the Abyss redeem. Some people like to do that. Also, you can just hang out in general and eat. I don't know. I'm not watching you. It's the other way around. So come and join. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, so what am I talking about when I say hyperinvesting? Is that a thing? What does that mean? I'm gonna tell you. Basically, just kind of exactly what it sounds like is really heavily investing in a character. I would say hyperinvesting includes 10-10-10 talents, level 90, sitting your butt down in the domain of the artifact that they need, and basically living there. You cannot leave. That is where you live now. Sorry. So yeah, basically hyperinvesting is just putting a lot of your resources into one particular character or, choosing a few characters. You cannot hyperinvest in every character in the game. There's just too many characters coming out and not enough time and resources. Even if you are a whale who, tops up on the resin every day, you still could not hyperinvest in every single character. Partially because of artifact RNG, which is a big part of hyperinvesting. If you're going to sit your butt down in a domain and really, really try for the best of the best artifacts, it's unlikely to happen in a day or two. So really, I would say you could probably only, if you've been playing since the beginning or close to it, hyperinvest in a handful of characters. So for me personally, my biggest hyperinvestment is Ito, and this also extends into constellations. We recently got C6. You can check out the Ito Wishing Saga. I'll list the playlist below, put it in the eye or whatever. It was terrible. It was hard to do. As you can see here, I don't have a lot of the 5-star characters. For a player who's been playing for quite a while, I'm, missing quite a few. And that's because I sacrificed a lot of what could have gone to other characters to Ito. That also, I would say, counts as hyperinvestment, allocating your Primogem funds to constellations on a character if you're a budget and low spender, because you only have so many wishes you can do. If you're a whale, it's a different planet you live on. So personally, I think one of the reasons someone might choose to hyperinvest in a character is obviously simp reasons. Interest. You like that character, so you're gonna give it your all. You might find that sometimes it seeps into your real life. You start to collect merch. Oh, I got some new ones too, actually. I should put these guys up, huh? This is made de Luke and Venti. So, do you find yourself relating to a lot of what I'm saying? Do you also hyperinvest in your characters? I feel ya. This is a simp thing, possibly. Anyway, basically that's just kind of what I mean when I say hyperinvesting. Ito's not my only hyperinvested character. He's the most invested for sure. I've invested a lot in my Benny, which I talk about all the time because I am Benny's mother and nothing can convince me otherwise. Maybe you're not doing it for simp reasons. Maybe you're doing it because they're a great character and they're strong and that's what you want. But also, I feel like a lot of us do it for simp reasons. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. I can see it. But basically what I did is I heavily invested in characters that formed a team. I may not have triple crowned Albedo, but I did get him, a good set of artifacts. Zhongli, Goro, level all of them to 90, level all their talents pretty high because they work as a team for Ito. I did the same with the Tartigel's team, Tartigel's National. Benny's in that team, obviously, and so is Kazuha, 2 characters that I've heavily invested in. Alright, so now I'm just gonna get into the pros and cons of hyper investing, why it's good, why it's bad. You can decide for yourself. In terms of Abyss, you can really breeze through it. You just whip out your hyper invested teams and you've got it. You can make it more challenging by not using them. I am bleeding. Okay, don't mind me. Don't mind my bleeding lip. One of the biggest pros, Abyss is a breeze, endgame content in general is a breeze. I can't remember the last time an event or Abyss was actually genuinely challenging once I whipped out my invested characters. If your goal is endgame content, there you go. Another pro is you're gonna receive your simp card. You'll get it in the mail, it's official, it's stamped and kissed by your favorite character and everything, and it's amazing. I would show you mine, but it is sacred. The next reason that you might find hyper investing to be a pro is you will likely save up more primo gems if you're not pulling for every new 5-star, unless you decide to go full simpy wimpy like I did. We are pure poverty over here. But generally, for example, when I was saving for more Ito constellations, I had a lot of primo gems just because I was skipping every new character, and you'll also save resources that way. Primo gems aside, you will save resources of building a new character after the fact, which leads me into the cons. So backpacking off my last point about being resource rich, it only applies once you've kind of hyper invested and you've stopped. So I'm at the point where I'm not really investing super heavily in anyone. So I do have more books and more Mora and more talent books, things like that. But initially, when I was triple crowning everyone and really grinding, you will live in poverty. If you are hyper investing in a bunch of characters kind of at that time where you're building your Abyss roster, maybe like AR 55-ish, it's poverty. In my personal experience and from what I've seen, there's, kind of a gentle, gradual slope up once you're starting Genshin and climbing the AR ranks. Then you hit a point where you start getting better artifacts, better weapons, and you can start leveling your characters to 90, level your talents higher. And then it just feels like it ramps up 1,000%, and suddenly it feels like you are constantly farming, trying to catch up on building characters. It feels like that for me personally. It felt like for the bulk of AR 55 to maybe as long as 57, I just felt like constantly poor, constantly resource depleted. It was not great. Farming ley lines and talent books and all of that was my life for a little bit. So when you're at that point in the game where you're kind of hyper investing in a few characters, probably the earlier stages of end game, you will be poor. I'm sorry to say, you will be poor. Yeah. Once you're in my area and you've kind of hyper invested in a few characters and there will now only be the occasional character you want to hyper invest in, you'll be a lot more resource rich. So that's the pro. But initially, it's definitely a con. Definitely a con. Obviously, the biggest con to hyper investing in characters is you will have fewer team options because you will likely have fewer characters that you've pulled for / built. That's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm cool with really getting into playing the same characters, but not everyone is. My friend Mia has a huge roster of characters because she likes to switch up her teams all the time, and you could argue that her account's more fun to play on, but I struggle in her Abyss. But maybe you don't care about Abyss, so maybe that's the right thing for you to do. Spread your resources, spread your primo gems, have more teams, have more characters. Maybe have more fun. Another con is you might have holes in your lineup. My hole is here and no, I'm just kidding. My hole is cryo. I don't have a cryo DPS. I have few good cryo supports. Recently just built Diona, so we're kind of evening out. But DPS, I don't have one. I don't have a cryo DPS. I'm Air 60. I don't have a good cryo DPS, and that's my own fault. I probably could have one at this point. We'll talk about why once I bring in the interview segment from my mod Edrag, but I don't have a good crowd DPS. And you might similarly have some holes in your lineup if you choose to hyper invest / simp. So now I'm gonna do something a little different. Because this whole video was inspired by Edrag, who redeemed my Abyss team thing, I asked him for a little interview on stream. Initially it was to talk about the pros and cons of hyper investing, as I just discussed, but it kind of turned into Part 1, a roast. Part 2, a realization about why I hyper invest in certain characters. So enjoy that.
I stand up here because I'm judging you.
Oh, you judge me? Oh my gosh, okay. So I got my 2 most invested characters here, Ito and Benny, and we're gonna be judged. So do you want to open up my Ito? Is that what you want to look at?
Wow, not even 2,500 defense.
What are the negatives of hyper investing?
Negatives of hyper investing are you become too reliant on certain characters. So like your Ito has great stats, don't know what you're trying to optimize with him still, but yeah, don't do that.
I'm bleeding. Uh-oh.
Band-Aid.
I'm just gonna wipe it with a tissue and then
Band-Aid.
I don't want to get up.
Get up.
Okay, fine, I'll get a band-aid. This is why we call E-Drag the sensible mod. I'll be right back. Okay, so back to this. So
Alright, show off those constellations. How could you C6 Benny? What's wrong with you?
That's a true point for hyper investing. Basically, I took away Benny's utility from a lot of other characters to make him as a standalone unit better.
Also, you screwed over your co-op peoples.
I did screw up my co-op people. Yeah. That's why I bring characters not affected by C6 Benny when I co-op with Meej. Oh, wait, Mojo, you actually plan around my Benny? My instinct is to always go with Benny because I love Benny, but that's another problem of hyper investing. You're not just limiting your choices, you're limiting your co-op teammates' choices, right? So if E-Drag wants to bring his Eula and I've got my Benny out, it's not gonna work for
Which
anyone.
has happened, by the way.
It has happened, yep, it's happened and it's not been good.
Okay, so out of all the characters that you have invested in, what percentage is men versus women?
So what are we calling invested? Like level 90? Like basically I could pull them out in the field and they could be okay?
Yeah.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I won't count anyone below 70 because I don't think that's invested. What did I end up on? I just forgot what I counted.
I think you said 16.
16? All right, let's count the ladies. 8, 9.
9. 65% of the characters are men that you have invested in. Okay. How come you don't have any favorite females?
Because I didn't triple crown any females. These are, I only starred the triple crowned characters and they're all males, yeah.
Aha. So we're seeing the issue here, yeah?
We're seeing the issue.
I'm pretty sure more females than males in the game.
That is, yeah.
Anyway.
I feel like that's accurate as well. What is the ratio? Like the actual full characters?
There's 58 characters, 17, 18, 19.
Out of how many? 50 something? Wait.
58.
I never realized
19 out of
how
58.
uneven this was. Wait. So it's actually kind of hard to have a more male-based team like I do.
So you are definitely hyper-investing into the guys.
I'm hyper-investing in the men. Oh my gosh. I think E-Drag really dug to the root of this problem here that I was not even looking at that picture. I mean, I knew I was a simp over some of them, but we drove that home, didn't we? Yeah, so I think we got to the root of the issue here, which is I have not just a hyper-investing issue, but apparently a simping issue. So we've learned what I need. Men, and then I'll invest. You know what? I think I learned a lot more than I actually anticipated because I went in thinking like, well, I know the root issues of hyper investing, but I didn't know why I was hyper investing. But now I think I have a better understanding of why. Look at her swing while she judges me. Thank you, E-Drag, for being here roasting me. You can follow E-Drag on Twitch, by the way. Twitch.tv/E-Drag88. Follow E-Drag on Twitch and he'll roast you for free or for money. I don't know. It's up to him. So in conclusion, hyper-investing, should you, shouldn't you? It's up to you. You probably are already leaning one way or the other based on what kind of person you are, and I'm sure you already kind of assessed why you would and why you wouldn't. If you're someone who enjoys mixing up your teams often and having your resources spread a little more thin across more characters that are passably to good playable characters instead of really, really strong but few characters, then hyper-investing probably isn't for you. If you don't care about clearing or getting 36 stars in Abyss as soon as possible, that you don't need to hyper invest. You could take it slow and get there when you get there. If you don't feel one way about it, like you're not really simpy investing, but you're also not really spreading your resources too thin, and your pure goal is to clear Abyss as soon as possible, as many stars as soon as possible, hyper investing is the way to go in terms of teams. And that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the topic. Let me know if you are a hyper investor or if you're just kind of someone who prefers to have more characters, fewer worries, fewer stresses. I don't blame you. Thank you again to my mod eDrag88 on Twitch. You can catch him there. He plays Genshin. Watch him stream because I can't because I'm in bed. I'm a grandma. But you can watch him, maybe. And also, while you're at it, you're on Twitch already looking at eDrag, so you might as well follow me. Twitch.tv/Meejin, MEEJIIN, and that's all. Let me know your hyper-invested characters, when you received your SIM card, who kissed it for you. Let me know. I'm curious. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Don't even have C6.
I know, listen, it's coming soon. By the time this video comes out, we're filming this like way in advance. I anticipate this will be out in January. We might have
Yeah, and she'll have C5.
No!